place. I mean, Tony is the next in line. Everybody knows that. Dana knows that. The UFC knows that. Every person that watches mixed martial arts knows. The next person to fight Khabib has got to be Tony Ferguson. Simple as that. And I'm telling you, that's his biggest threat. Tony Ferguson could beat this guy 100%.
Well, his biggest threat?
What?
I don't want to say because
his biggest threat?
You're going to get mad at me again. I don't feel like dealing with you getting upset with me. We're going to be like, you have to edit it out later on.
Just tell me what is Khabib's biggest threat? By the way, everybody, disclaimer, I don't know what Lewis is going to say, but go ahead, doggy. Bring the tone of the podcast down, please. Racial slur. What is it? Go ahead.
3 letters. GSP.
Not gonna happen.
Biggest threat. Yeah. Biggest threat. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
No. It's not his biggest threat. GSP beats Khabib. Simple. Period. Done. Fact.
That's his biggest threat still.
It's not his biggest threat. He's the great white shark that is going to come in and just take it all away. That fight's not going to happen. That fight, listen, Khabib wants the fight, and it sounds like GSP would entertain that fight. UFC are not going to make that fight. You know why? Because the UFC and Dana, Dana and GSP, they butt heads a little bit, but they weren't sure about making that fight because they said to GSP when he fought me, he said, listen, you got to defend the belt. If you come in and you beat Bisping, which is like, unthinkable, but if you do pull off the unthinkable and you manage to do it, which nobody thinks you will, but if you do, you got to stick around and defend that belt. And he didn't. He retired and he fucked the division. Now we've got a champion, Robert Whittaker, that's never been in a fucking title fight. He hasn't been in an official UFC title fight until he faces Adesanya.
I think Bisping said it best.
Thank you, Dana. So now they're not going to allow GSP to come back simply for him to make money, for him to further his own legacy, right? Destroy the record and the myth and the mystique of Khabib just for GSP's legacy, and then GSP disappears into the background and the shadows again. You know what I mean? The only person that helps is GSP, okay? Unless Khabib beats him. But it's a risky one.
That's a super risky one. But this is not, I'm not pulling this out of my ass because Khabib stated that he wants to fight GSP. Didn't he say that he wants to be his next fight? Possibly, Harrington? Give me some insight here because we were talking about this before. And then Dana White finally said, and Harrington, break it down, but I believe Dana White finally confirmed that fight could happen. And for him to even say that it could happen, in my opinion, means that there's something to it. I don't think he would... I think he would immediately just squash that and go, that's not fucking happening. Keep it moving. But the fact that he said it could happen, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. Harrington, back me up here.
Yeah, during the post-fight presser, he was asked a number of times about GSP. Finally, towards the end, he said if it's a fight that Khabib wants, it's a fight that GSP wants, it's something that we're interested in doing. So they would entertain doing it. And then when they brought Khabib in a little bit later, they asked him about it. And basically he said, well, they asked him about Africa, actually. They said, would you ever fight in Africa? He said, yeah, this stadium was built in 3 months. I could get a stadium built in the Congo or Nigeria to fight GSP there by February, and we donate all the money to charity in Africa. So, I mean, it seems like he's very interested in taking that fight on, just a very short turnaround here.
Well, fucking, there goes my theory. I stand corrected. Fuck you all then. Make me look. Hey, listen, Harrington, if you got this kind of info before we go on there, you got to share this with me, doggy. I don't see this in the notes. In the notes, there's none of this. In the notes, we've got Macy Barber sliding into the DMs of Paige Van Zandt's husband. Okay?
For 7 episodes in a row. For 7.
He's obsessed with trying to get us to discuss Paige Van Zandt and her husband and Macy Barber sliding into the DM. I'm like, I'm not 12, okay? We're not discussing it, okay? But no, you have this really good information about Khabib and GSP and Dana, like changing his stance, but you let me go on a tirade. You let me go on a rant just so you can make me look a fool. Gee, fuck you, Harrington. Shame.
That's a shame bell. Harrington gets a shame bell for making you look an asshole on your own show. Yeah, I think it was in the notes. I don't want to undercut you again, Mr. Bisping. I think you did break that down in the notes. Here's the thing. I think the way you answer that, if I'm the UFC, If I'm Dana White and company, they've been talking for over a year now about a 165-pound division. That's the way you that's the way you can bet that. You debut the 165-pound division, or even do it at a catch weight. Fuck it, right? So then you're not actually killing Khabib's title, and then if GSP walks away, you're like, all right, dude, you beat Khabib at 160, 165, whatever it was, whether it's for a title or it's just a catch weight, but you're not actually killing his credibility because it's at a higher weight. It doesn't kill his credibility anyway. It's George fucking St-Pierre. I mean, the man walked through fucking wars. He's one of the most decorated champions of all time. He beat Michael the Count Bisping, which is a goddamn near impossibility unless you're juiced to the gills. We all know that.
And he probably was juiced to the gills, let's be honest, because when he walked into that octagon, I was like, holy shit, look at the size of this guy. Holy fuck, what's he been eating? No, Khabib said, though, he doesn't want to jump around different weight classes, which, by the way, I really respect, because when you're the champion, the thing now, the common thing, the trend, when you get a belt, now you want to fight for another belt, which I get, because if you're the person jumping weight classes, there's no risk. You know what I mean? There's no risk to it. So you might as well do it, you know, and if you risk it and you pull it off, you achieve greatness. And if you lose, you're still the champion of your own division. But Khabib doesn't want to do that.